In 2014, we saw the world's first 4K mirrorless camera released with the GH4. Next in line was the GH5, which brought some much needed improvements in both the internal spec and the ergonomic handling. 5 years later, and you've been asking lots of questions whilst we've been patiently waiting, but with a couple of teasers already released, it gives me great pleasure to show you this, the brand new LUMIX GH6. With this initial first look and a limited amount of time that I've had with the GH6, I have been unable to get outside and shoot any sample content, but we will have a follow-up video to explore that in more detail. Inside we find a new 25.2 megapixel LiveMOS sensor with no low pass filter, along with a new Venus engine processor, and this combination is the backbone to the new performance found inside the GH6. I think it's safe to say that most of us have been wanting to know what the video capture on the GH6 is capable of, and bear with me because there is quite a few. You can shoot up to 5.7K at 30p internally in Apple ProRes 422HQ and ProRes 422. This is the first time in a LUMIX camera enabling non-linear editing without transcoding, which helps speed up your post-processing work. You also have the option of 5.7K 420 10-bit at 60p and 5.8K 420 in an anamorphic 4:3 ratio. This de-squeeze footage utilises the full area of the sensor and delivers a high quality image that is required for films, TV and video productions alike. 422 10-bit Cinema 4K up to 60p can be recorded internally as well as simultaneously outputting over the HDMI. For any high-speed shooters, you can capture the equivalent of 5 times slow motion in 4K 120p, or step down to Full HD and you can record an even slower 240p. It's also worth mentioning that the GH6 has an unlimited recording time thanks to an improved cooling system, but we'll come on to that a bit later on. LUMIX has stated that there's a performance enhancing firmware update that's due to come for the GH6, which will unlock the following. The GH6 provides 12 stops of dynamic range for the pre-installed Vlog recording that can be expanded to 13 stops when using the dynamic range boost mode. This real-time HDR composition with a single exposure is generated from a low ISO but highly saturated image and a high ISO with low noise image, and the pixel by pixel composition gives a clear, smooth HDR video which is rich in graduations. Now, although not primarily tailored towards still shooters, the GH6 does include a few features which might be useful for the odd hybrid moment. One of these is the 100 megapixel handheld high-res mode, which shifts that sensor in 8 consecutive images. That new Venus engine helps to process those images quickly, leaving you with an image which has 4 times the detail when compared to the standard shots. I know that the focus performance on the GH6 will be a huge topic many users are interested in finding out about. From what I've been told, there is a great improvement not only to the autofocus, but also the autofocus calculations, the tracking performance, along with its speed to lock onto your subjects too. A few interesting changes gives you the option of Zone AF, which is an easier view of your subject while shooting thanks to this open style interface. There is also a focus limiter that allows you to customize your focusing range, giving better control of what you want the AF system to concentrate on. We now have human, face and eye, and animal detection, which brings the GH6 in line with many others on the market, and we look forward to testing this in our next video. With a magnesium alloy body weighing in at 739 grams, the GH6 is indeed slightly heavier and larger than the previous GH5. On the body itself, there are a few new additions worth pointing out. On the front there is a new tally light, along with a low-level video recording button, giving you far easier access to start and stop your content when holding the camera. There is also a second function button further up the body which gives an enlarged live view of your frame so that you can double check the focus of your subject while shooting. Around the back there are a few notable changes. We have a new operation lever lock, an AF mode selection button, a new 8-directional control joystick so that you can now move diagonally across your frame, but the biggest change is the vents for the onboard fan. This allows for what's called force cooling in the GH6, which basically allows that 4K 60p 422 10-bit unlimited recording without overheating. If Lumix simply kept that natural cooling of the GH5, you would either have to have a much bigger camera or no unlimited recording. On top we find a familiar layout to the previous models, although the video recording button is slightly more prominent compared to before, and we also find a new audio info button. The GH6 is the first Lumix camera to adopt a 48 kHz audio at 24-bit using either the built-in stereo mic or an external. When attaching that separate mic, you can also capture high-res sound up to 96 kHz at 24-bit, providing you with a far better audio capture for your content. We see an improvement to the stabilization thanks to the new ultra precision gyro sensor that works in partnership with the new algorithms. This results in up to 7.5 stops of compensation even when using non-equipped stabilized lenses or bigger telephotos. This is an increase of a full stop from the previous Mark II, and it can also be used when shooting handheld high-res 100 megapixel stills. The electronic viewfinder has a 3.6 million dot OLED display, which results in a clear and easy to read view. The GH5 was by no means atrocious, but there is a noticeable improvement on the GH6. The monitor sees the first tilt 3-angle display features on a G series camera, much like that seen on the S1H. This allows for better customization of your rig whilst out shooting. And the tilt feature has 2 different clickable positions at approximately 30 and 45 degrees. To keep up with that huge amount of data being captured, the GH6 has dual card slots compatible with both UHS 2 SDs and also the faster CF Express Type Bs. This is going to be perfect for anyone shooting those data-hungry formats and gives a nice backup for any important events. I love that we still have that full-size HDMI port, which, realistically speaking, is on a small, compact camera. I would love to see more manufacturers adopting this in the future, but Lumix have always been ahead of the others when it comes to this. Another thing to note is that 3-inch monitor can be moved freely even when the HDMI and USB cables are attached, which is a great little upgrade, making everyone's lives easier. Powering the GH6 is a newer BLK22 battery, which I'm sure you know has 2 sets of contacts, making it compatible with both the newer models like the S5 and now the GH6, which require that higher power consumption, but is also backwards compatible with the older GH5s and GH4. As previously mentioned, this is only an initial first look, and we're looking forward to getting hands-on with the GH6 in the next few weeks. It's great to see a jam-packed video spec camera that's small, compact and lightweight. For any current GH users, this is definitely something worth checking out. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Ring that bell to get notifications of all our latest content, and if you'd like any more information, please check out the link below or get in touch with your local London Camera Exchange.